they get a shot of Elvis all by himself in the credits at the end of the movie. And he is going, I think it was like, I want to say it was a 1 or 2 or 3 different, like, I don't know if they were floral displays or what they were.
Looking at the cards.
And looking at the cards. And then, yes, by himself, didn't look like anybody else was around, reading the cards, taking time to read the cards, and you hear memories playing in the background. And every time I see that, I just got chills just telling you about that. It just gets me every time. We were talking before a couple of funny things about what we saw. The one funny thing that we both noticed, and I thought I was the only one who noticed this. He's about to enter the stage at one of the shows, the very beginning of the movie, and I forget the gentleman's name. It's one of the entourage that's with him. So they're back in the dressing room or whatever.
He's wearing the red.
Yeah, this is when he's wearing, at the very beginning, where he's wearing the red Burning Love outfit. And they're in the dressing room, and they're just waiting, and they're chilling, and you can hear Elvis doing the voiceover and talking and everything like that. And then they're about, the 2001 theme starts, and then they're about to go on stage, so they start moving towards the doorway. And we had referred to many times before, at least among us, and I think we even mentioned it maybe one of the last episodes or what have you, but it seems like everybody around him was smoking all the time, which is kind of odd because you would think when you're...
Seen it 5 seconds before that, he's off on the side doing his inhalers. Yeah. And everybody across the room, someone's lighting up.
Yeah.
And it's
But plus, if you're a singer, I mean, I would think that you wouldn't want that around you because, it would get into your system, especially if you're not a smoker. But even if you are, I would think that if you're going to be a singer, you're about to go on stage, maybe not want that around.
Before you're going on stage.
Right before you're about to walk
you want
out.
Fresh air, you want calmness, you want to get in your zone. But everybody, not in a room of smoke.
Everybody's smoking. But anyway, they're pushing him towards the door. And the one gentleman, I can't think of his name. I could totally picture him though. But anyway, he's going to fix his collar, and he reaches up, and in one hand he's got the cigarette in his hand. It's lit, it's burning, and he's right up against Elvis's hair.
And I think that polyester blend, cotton, gabardine. Hair, he probably had hairspray or something. Boom.
It was just hilarious because I remember seeing that before, and I thought, hey, I'm the only one thinking. And then when she brought it up, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, that's hilariously funny.
And that's why I'm wearing red, because we were laughing about it before.
Love.
But yeah, how he goes from doing an inhaler, and then the next scene is somebody, fixing his collar with a cigarette in the hand. It's well, then even in the scene when they're separate ways.
Yes.
You see some
smoke,
and then as the camera pans out, I think it's a cup of coffee, and you see a lit cigarette, the smoke.
on top of all the soundboard and everything. And they're in the studio.
And he's singing. Concentrating on singing. How's nobody not coughing or like open a window? My gosh,
Yeah, I don't know. It's hilarious. But this the freight elevator thing again, talking about something.
Why?
Funny.
Right? Why was that?
This is. I don't know if you remember. This is with the older gentleman who he was a senior, and he had these glasses on again. Kind of like the interview guy from That's the Way It Is. These glasses were a little bit thicker, a little bit more Coke bottle-y, and he had I think he had a hat on, and they're asking him, and it's like, well, what is, what is this where Elvis comes in or whatever? He goes, yeah, and he's like, he says something like, well, what does he do? Well, he comes through the door. And he just goes in through the elevator.
What is the plan? When he comes through this door, what happens?
Speak up for us, please.
Well, he goes on and goes up the elevator to his room.
But I mean, what does he do? He comes through this door. Why don't you just tell me?
He comes through this door, goes around, and takes the elevator.
And they're basically like, well, yeah, we get that, but like, tell us a little bit more detail. and the gentleman's not getting it, and they're like, and he's like, well, he goes through the door, and he just goes through the freight elevator. This is the, and it's almost like they're like going back and forth with one another, because it's like it's almost like the gentleman's like, do you guys not know how a door works? Why are you asking me this silly question? Why are you like, do you not know? Like, he's just going to come back in here and he's going to go through the door and then he goes upstairs. Like, what more do you want? And then they finally reach out and they say, well, why don't you just tell us, what he does? Why don't you just, and then they go further because they still weren't getting anything out of him. He's like, well, why don't you just show us?
Why don't you show us where he's coming in here?
He's coming through this door here. There's 2 doors in this entrance. He's coming through this door here in this entrance. And then you open it like this. And then this one, the outer door comes like this.
And then he goes over and he's like, okay.
But he's side-eyeing. What the funny thing is, he's side-eyeing them as he's bringing them over to the door as like, what in the world do you guys want to know? I've told you, it's not rocket science, guys. He just comes through the door. I let him in. I say hello. And then he goes on and gets upstairs to his hotel room and gets ready for the show. What do you want? And then they make him go over and he goes over to the door. He goes, well, we open this door first and we lean it up against here. And then we open, and this is the outer door.
I know the Colonel didn't like certain parts of the part where they had the film clips, the clips from the different
from the movie section.
Love Me
During
Tender.
Love Me Tender, yeah.
So I know the Colonel didn't like that. So it makes you wonder, what was the Colonel's thoughts on the gentleman in the elevator?
Well, you wonder.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what. Yeah,
I wonder. Here's what I wonder. I don't know if there's any truth to any of this, but I wonder. Did the Colonel give? I think it was Pierre Adage and Robert Abel. Mm-hmm. Abel and Adage, I know were the names. I might have those first names mixed up, but anyway, did the Colonel give those guys a hard time, kind of like he did with Steve Bender and Bob Finkel on the '68 comeback?
Like he set him up, like, you need to talk to that guy. You need to talk to him. And
then were they just like frustrated with him, or just like, we're going to put this in the movie and he's going to lump it, just whether he likes it or not? I don't know. I'm just totally speculating.
It's
I have no idea
why they would have that in the movie.
Well, right, because again, you're doing a rock concert documentary, and you have, again, a couple of odd interviews, or in this case, there's I wouldn't say a couple of odd interviews, but this is one odd interview. There's the other one too about
the mayor
on the plane, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the odd interview there with the gentleman with the freight elevator, and it's like, why would you even put that in there? And I mean, there had to have been better footage somewhere that you could have put in, maybe, I would think, but again, but I can't imagine the Colonel was too pleased with that. He wasn't probably too pleased with the movie. You said he wasn't, right? He wasn't pleased with the movie.
Yeah, no.
Stuff during Love Me Tender. The other one is about the one on the plane with the mayor from Roanoke.
The mayor, yeah, and they make the girls make Elvis a guitar.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so cute because Elvis is on the plane and he's chewing his gum and he's smiling and he gets this guitar and then the guitar breaks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm good. That was my favorite when you. I remember. Broke the string. Yeah, broke the whole thing.
As soon as he pretty much gets it,
and he's holding it, and you tell he's like
two pieces. He's holding the two pieces,
and he's trying to stay polite, and he's listening. He's talking to the guy and everything. But meantime, this guitar is breaking, and then whoever he's looking at, he's like looking, and he wants to crack up, but he's being a Southern gentleman and talking to the mayor. I mean, to me, that was just Elvis,
Yeah.
the real Elvis,
Yeah.
you know, being a gentleman, but yet he wanted to giggle.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the things where you get the behind the scenes stuff. You get to see the true Elvis again here in that regard, where he's, just being himself and just being, his goofy self, like a lot of, we all know that he can be. And it was just seemed to be a lot of fun. And
his hair. Do we talk about his hair? What was with the hair?
Everybody's hair.
James Burton hair, Ronnie's hair, and Jerry's hair was like, wah.
Well, we were remarking, we're saying this because, first of all, now, obviously that was the times. I mean, it was 1972, and that was kind of the look. I mean, it was like the straight hair, just kind of combed down or whatever. The facial hair was starting to go crazy at that time.
His sideburns were like, roar.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was that. And then there were, and then the clothing was different. Now, granted, these guys were all in uniform jumpsuits, matching jumpsuits for the band members and whatever. But, behind the scenes, I mean, it was just kind of like, the whole 70s look. But we were laughing because we were contrasting that to, what was it? Literally about a year and a half prior. So you go, it would have been 71 a year prior to that, in the spring of 71, and then it would have been the summer of 70. A year and a half prior to that, 69, 70, Elvis is, when you compare it to That's the Way It Is, they're all clean cut, more or less. The hair's normal length.
Shorter.
A lot less facial hair.
Good morning, Hollywood camera. How are you?
I mean, it was just, it was that fast. Like, that's how the trend looked. It changed that fast as far as like the looks of your hairstyle and your facial hair and your clothing and so forth. So that was just a funny part of that all. The gospel on stage. The other thing is another thing I liked on them, where this is, it might have been around the first time he started introducing the gospel stuff on stage. It was probably around 72, maybe 71. But I think, 72, I think, is my knowledge of the recollection of when he first introduced the gospel stuff on stage. And then him allowing the Stamps to actually do their own thing, where he flat out says, hey, I don't sing in this, just please listen to them.
And he told the audience too, like,
yeah.
shh,
Yeah,
just listen.
Thank you.
Please respect them, because I'm going to have them sing and take the stage.
And he was smiling.
Yeah.
And he was closing his eyes, and he was just taking that song in.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh,
Yeah,
goosebumps.
yeah. He truly appreciated that, and he got something out of having them do that, and he did that a few more times there, here and there, and then even through later years in the tours. Obviously, he would do gospel songs, but he would have the Stamps participate. He would have them either do the same thing, sing their own song, or they would do, or Elvis would. The roles would be reversed, where the Stamps would take the lead, and Elvis would kind of do some backup with them through the song, instead of just the Stamps totally doing the song on their own. So he might reverse that role and participate there. I thought that was pretty cool.
And he knew JD for how many years?
Since he was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was a young boy, letting him, JD was letting him into the back of the performance when the Stamps, when JD was with, I don't even know, I don't think it was the Stamps JD was with at the time. But anyway, whatever gospel group JD was with at the time, he would let him in the back door. To come see them, because he was really into them. And Elvis was a little boy, maybe 14, I'm guessing. That's off the top of my head. I don't really know.
But you figure that long friendship, the brotherhood, JD, kind of like a big brother figure to Elvis.
For sure.
That here they are in fast forward, 20, 30 some years, that now they are traveling the United States.
Yeah. Going all around and doing all these
Amazing.
amazing big time shows and crazy crowds and so on and so forth. Yeah. And, well, I mean, same thing. John Wilkinson, he met him when he was young. So what's funny is these guys had connections long before they started performing.
He knew James Burton in the 60s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had heard that too. Who else? Charlie Hodge, of course, from the Army years, had been his thing. I think Glenn D and Ronnie Tutt and Jerry Sheff, I think those guys were all interviewees. He kind of Elvis his thing. Like, he didn't forget his friends, man. He really, if they were supportive of him and they believed in him, like he didn't forget them. If they wanted to be a part of it, he was more than welcome to let them in. So yeah, that was really cool.
And that was their career, and he gave them jobs. I mean, they got paid, Yeah. With all the, going state, again, we talked about, going the 15 states where you had the roadies and the techies, and
all the behind the scenes guys.
Elvis gave them jobs.
Yeah. He
supported people.
Yeah. Out of his own half, or his own cut, basically, between him and the Colonel. So, he was really out there, supporting all these people and supporting their well-being, basically. And, I mean, you saw in that movie too, if you watched it, the roadies have, like, the EP jumpsuit,
which is actually really
costumes,
cool.
if you will.
Those are I like them.
As they're moving the equipment in and out from one city to another and so forth like that. So, really, really cool stuff. That just all the behind the scenes people, everybody there. There were just so many people involved with that whole production to make that happen, especially as you're going one night after another night after another night in a different city, and and all that had to be torn down at night, built back up the next day, and it just kept going like that. That's, again, talk about being a rigorous schedule for Elvis. I mean, I'm sure it was a rigorous schedule for all them too. I mean, we've already talked about how it was with the band members and stuff, but the behind the scenes, the roadies guys were the same way. I mean, they were pretty much, their break, probably about their only break, might have been just watching the concert, and then that was it.
Sitting off to the side of the stage somewhere, sitting and relaxing for that 45 minutes or something. And even that, they still had to be on their toes because they had to make sure everything was working properly. If Charlie, was motioning, hey, amp is out or something, they had to fix it. It was almost like a traveling family.
Yeah. The ending, another thing I like, the ending of this, how they ended it with memories, as the credits were rolling and wrapping up too, like that. Little did we know, I don't know, they probably just thought it was just like one of the things at the time that just kind of made sense as they were going on the road, because they are making memories as they're doing their tour, and they're having this camaraderie on stage and behind the scenes and going from city to city. So I'm sure it fit. Oddly enough, though, how even more so it fit into the movie, only just 5.5 years later, basically. So that to this day still kind of gets me. I watch the end of the movie, and you start hearing the first few notes of memories start creeping in, and then you see the behind the scenes and them laughing, and you see they're basically the outtakes at the end of the movie of stuff that didn't really make it, but they're you see Elvis interacting with the friends and the bandmates and everything like that, and they're just having a good time. And then the one that really gets me, the part in that, is where they get a shot of Elvis all by himself in the credits at the end of the movie. And he is going, I think it was like, I want to say it was a 1 or 2 or 3 different, like, I don't know if they were floral displays or what they were.
Looking at the cards.
And looking at the cards. And then, yes, by himself, reading the cards, taking time to read the cards, and you hear memories playing in the background. And every time I see that, I just got chills just telling you about that. It just gets me every time to see that. And again, now, only a few years later, that just meant even that much more to just see that. But it was one of those intimate moments that you don't get to see from him a whole lot because he's always surrounded by somebody.
Mm-hmm. He's by himself reading the cards. He's appreciating and being humbled.
Yes.
By these people writing these kind words of support.
Yeah, for sure.
That here is, the greatest entertainer selling out arenas. Mm-hmm. And he's reading these cards of people wishing him good luck and have a great show.
Yeah. I really enjoy the movie. I love the movie growing up. I love the rock and roll. I love the upbeat. I love the showmanship. I love the jumpsuits and the glitter and the glitz and the just the control that he had on stage and in his command and his performances and stuff. It was just really, really cool. Coupling that, again, not that much longer later with Aloha and seeing that concert. I mean, for me, that's what that 1-2 punch for me is what did me in. And I think was what really set me on my path to just be, an Elvis fan.
Well,
and want to do what he did.
That's your favorite time frame.
Yeah.
Of Elvis.
Yeah. And it still is, I think, overall, but I've come to, as the years go by and I keep going back to all this stuff and I keep reviewing it and looking at it, and I try to keep an open mind about everything and hope that I can finally catch something else maybe that I didn't catch at the beginning. I find myself appreciating things more and more. Like I think, if you guys watch one of our other episodes, I did not care for the 68 comeback special at the very beginning. Now I have a whole entire different perspective on it. I liked That's the Way It Is at first, but it didn't do it like it did it for me, like Elvis on Tour, like we're talking about now. Now it's like, in my opinion, I think Elvis, That's the Way It is for me, the better documentary as far as not as far as the content per se, just as far as the energy level and just the excitement that it brought, because it was all brand new going out into it. But man, Elvis on Tour, just getting that whole vibe and just I remember just wishing like, man, if I could only have been in that crowd, one of those crowds along the way, that would have been so cool.
And I think with Elvis on Tour, you saw more of his reflecting.
Yeah.
Because
you had talked about that one scene.
Yeah, there's that one scene. He's in the back of the car, and he's just sitting there, and he's like looking off to the window, and he does something like with his hand. And if you look, he did it in one of the in the 50s. Photo of him on a train or something, and he's by himself, and he's just whatever thought he was going through. That, to me, when I see that, what is he worrying about? What is he thinking about? What is on his mind at that time? Mm. And you don't stop and think, because you think, oh, it's Elvis. He's flawless.
Yeah.
He never has to worry.
Yeah.
It's like he's worried about something. Mm. He's human.
Yeah.
He has feelings.
Yeah, and he's reflecting. I mean, you can see it in his eyes too, that he's reflecting on either whatever just happened or whatever's going on. Mm-hmm. And again, you got to remember too, this time too, you're talking about April ish of 1972. Mm-hmm. He had just been leveled the news from Priscilla about 2 months prior. Mm-hmm. That she was leaving, and Linda Thompson was not in the picture yet. So yeah, who knows what was going on in his mind.
His heart was
point.
Broken, worrying about his little girl.
Yeah.
Who knows what he was worrying about? but it just shows you that, he was a dad.
Mm-hmm.
He was, he had worries just like we do.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, great concert documentary, and just by those two guys. And again, if you didn't know, a little known fact: Martin Scorsese worked on this documentary as well, Elvis on Tour. That was
I know, like if I'm upstairs and if I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever, I find myself putting in Elvis on Tour.
Yeah.
To be in my background music as I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because,
just the whole movie, really?
Because I think it's just song after song after song after song.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, as you get to that second half, like I said, I mean, it's even more so, on that. So yeah.
It's just a different Elvis. That 2-year different. It's just a different Elvis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's a different Elvis. I mean, it's still an exciting Elvis. I mean, he's still rocking the house for sure. But it was just, again, you can just see the progression of not only him, but kind of the music a little bit, and the progression of the style of that time. Again, even though it was only just a couple of years difference from 70 and a couple more years prior to that, 60, 69, 68, he was kind of going with the flow, I guess, for the most part. So yeah, different vibe, different Elvis. But still a super cool documentary.
But in that documentary, won a Golden Globe.
Yeah, that's right. It did. It won a Golden Globe.
It does have its place in history.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, it's my go-to.
Yeah.
Me personally.
Yeah.